Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is Tammy coming to you live. Actually, coming to you live today because I've been trying to go live all week long, and this has just not happened. Like, I've even come in here and said, "Hey, y'all, it's Tammy, and I'm going live in this time of day," and then I just don't show up because that's the week it's been. And if you don't laugh, right, it's sometimes you'll cry. That's where I'm living right now. It's like either laugh or cry. That's your options. Good morning, Elizabeth Clark. I miss your face. You need to come by and see us, even if you just got to come by and say hi for a second. We miss you. We hope that you're well, and I'm glad you're down there in Crewe, Virginia. So be like Elizabeth Forrest. Yes, if you could do me a couple of favors and tell us hello. Says Elizabeth says good morning, right? She said good morning, and I said, where are you watching from, Elizabeth? And she says, I'm watching from Crewe, Virginia. And now there's only one more thing that she needs to do, right? Is just drop us a grateful fed in the comments. And then she'll be the first one to complete the task today. And there we go, right? Grateful fed. She's the first one on Facebook to do all three things. And then Miss Norma Jean from Abilene is coming in strong on YouTube with Good Morning Y'all from Farmville and hashtag Grateful Fedness Up. And that just goes to tell you we are live in a couple of places today. So we're live all over Facebook, live at as many places as I can be on Facebook, and we're live in the TAMunity on YouTube. We they have the Instagram option, but it's kind of complicated right now with some kind of like key you have to enter in and all this other stuff. And so I'm hoping to get a little assistance with that and figure out how to be live on Instagram as well. So as you folks jump on here, do the things asked below if you don't mind. Say hello, tell us where you're watching from. Drop us a grateful fed in the comments. Hello, Melissa Jones. Good morning from Appomattox, Virginia. From Appomattox, Virginia. I try to remember where everybody's from the best that I can. I also try to remember your birthdays when I see them, and I messed up this week terribly and wish someone a happy birthday whose birthday's not until March. And it was Lisa, and I thought it was Lisa Phillips. I think it's Lisa Sherman's birthday. It was confusing. But anyway, I said maybe I just jumped timelines. I don't know. But if you are joining us live this morning, it says some places it says Sunday sermon, some places it says come say hi, weekend updates. There's my love bug. There's Katie Shaw, Catherine Shaw from Florida. I'm going to tell you a funny story about Catherine Shaw from Florida. I'll leave this up here. Um, so as many of you know, we do a couple of different things. If you're watching, the people watching all know what we do. We have Hometown Hippie. We have hello, Heather Johns. Hello. I'm coming back to Katie Shaw because I've got a story to tell. I've got a story to tell. So we do the Hometown Hippie is like our head company, right? We have the Grateful Fed, the Sugar Magnolia, and then the Hometown Hippie Elevated Edibles. So Katie Shaw is one of our Floridian friends. She's a part of the family. She's an OG, and she is from Florida. And Katie has been up to Farmville to visit us for Peace, Love, and Feast Fest. It was a pleasure hanging out with her. But she is definitely a Hometown Hippie client, right? We get pain salves and all the things from Miss Katie Shaw. And so we had an order come up 2 weeks ago for a take-home dinner, and it was for Catherine Shaw, and there was no address, right? There's no address, and it just was like a pickup order for a take-home dinner. Like they just checked out and didn't add their address, like as guests, but the name said Catherine Shaw, spelled your way. So everybody here was like, "This is." I was like, "This is." Did she donate some dinners? What is she doing? And I'm like, then everybody's like, no, she would have put that in the notes or she would have messaged you. So versus us just messaging Katie, right, and saying, hey, did you get dinners, whatever, we had this whole, like, we wrote a whole story. We were expecting Catherine Shaw to, like, walk through the door at 5:30 to pick up her dinner. And Catherine Shaw came to the window at, like, 5:15 is like, hi, I'm here to pick up for Catherine Shaw. And they were like, Katie's here. And I was like, that is not Katie Shaw. There's a lady in Farmville. This is a crazy thing. Spencer works with us. He helps us do delivery. He's been he's editing the cookbook. He's helping us with grant paperwork and things like that. He is a Grateful Fed family member. Spencer is amazing. He comes in all the time. Many of you have met Spencer. His his partner, his girlfriend, his old lady, his whatever. We joke about what do they call each other. He's like, she's not my girlfriend, she's a grown woman. We've been together too long just to call it that. We're not engaged, so I don't know. His partner, right? Her name is Catherine Shaw, spelled the same way as Katie Shaw. So that mystery was great. And so now whenever she's like, hey, it's Katie Shaw from Virginia, you're not the one you're expecting from Florida. Sorry to let y'all down. Because we're like, oh, we thought she's like surprising us from Florida. So we had this whole thing. I was like, let's just have fun today and believe in our hearts that Katie Shaw is like surprising us with this visit. And so all day long we were like, I wonder what time Katie's gonna get here. Like, wonder where she's at right now, South Carolina. So we kind of played with that all day long. So I thought you would get a kick out of that, Katie Shaw. So yeah, we had a good time with that one. So anyway, good morning, good morning. Like I said, this has been one of those weeks y'all have not seen my face a lot. It looks a lot better today. It looks a lot better today, but this side of my head was hang on. All congested. I don't know. The weather changing up and down has got my allergies and my head in like a mess. That's why I'm all like looking like this. This has been me all week. And I missed a day of work this week because this side of my head, like my eye was like this. It was like really swollen up. It was all poofy underneath. Ask Norma Jean will tell you. William Lynn came in the other day when I'd come back to work and I really wasn't a whole lot better. And I was like, he's like, shame on you, Red. I was like, first of all, I was like, he's got both open eyes. It was not red. But sorry, y'all. Got to do that. Because I can't breathe and talk. I don't have I can breathe through my nose. So, don't know who she is, but hello. Yes, we didn't know until then. And she's a delightful lady, and I'm very glad to know two Katie Shaws. I'm gonna tell you what, you can't go wrong with that name because the two I've known, and I know another Katie Shaw, which is crazy. She just goes by Catherine, not Katie, but Kathy's what she goes by. So Kathy Shaw, and so I've known a lot of. It's weird, like that name. I'm gonna have to do some kind of meditation around your name now. Like that's like 3 synchronicities. I feel like you have to be in my soul family in some shape, fashion, or form. So anyway, I digress and I'm sorry, but it's Sunday morning. It is Super Bowl Sunday, and we are here getting some stuff done today for our Super Bowl stuff. So a couple of things, like I said, some places it says Sunday sermon, some places it says weekend updates, come say hi. It's kind of a little bit of all today because they're kind of wrapped into one. Because like I said, y'all know kind of all the things we do. And I was talking about that with explaining like the take-home dinners. This week we have been running a contest. It is Super Bowl Sunday, and we had an account on Instagram message us last week and say, hey, we love your food. And it's an anonymous account that gets passed down from nobody knows who this account is on Instagram. It's like an anonymous thing, and you get it passed down to you in some kind of secret society or something. I don't know how the world works, but the account is called Friday Beers at HSC, which is Hampton-Sydney College, which is one of the schools that we do the mom meals for. So if you're from Farmville, you know we have 2 colleges here. We've got Longwood University here in Farmville in the main town. And then about 10 minutes outside of town, we have a small private all-men's school called Hampton-Sydney College. And people know about Hampton-Sydney, and probably Longwood's been on the, for the vice presidential debate. But I've always lived in a college town, right? And I've been a townie, but because my family has always been in hospitality and restaurant work and things like that, we have always had a relationship with kids who came into the schools. When I had High Street Diner, I had a ton of kids that worked with me from Longwood that worked at the bar and at the bouncers and in the kitchen and in the wait staff. And they were part of the family while they were here. And then when we had the Hitchin Post, my mom had a ton of the Hampton-Sydney kids out there all the time. They ate with her. They worked with her. So you just kind of get inundated with the kids. And this year, as many of you know, even if you're on the Hometown Hippie side, we launched a program called Mom Meals. And so we started really integrating with the college in that way. I was like, you know what? We're not as cost effective, right? We're not as pocketbook friendly for the college kids. We make things scratch made. It's organic. It's farm to table. There's kids who's going to seek that out and they're going to spend the money on it. But we found out, we went out and did like college events, that they don't want to spend $15 on a burrito that's organic and hand scratch made. There was a nacho truck selling $5 Frito walking taco bags. They were eating that stuff up. So we realized then, I'm like, you know what? I was like, being in a college town, we have to think about how are we accessible to the students? How do we operate our business in a way that works in the green and also be able to be of the highest and best good to these kids who need some good food while they're here? And that's where mom meals came from. Hey, let their mom that they'll spend $15 to make sure they eat their vegetables, where they're not going to pick me to eat broccoli, right? Most of them aren't, but they will. They're not going to pick me maybe themselves. They might want to go spend that $2 at McDonald's and then spend the $20 on a bottle of liquor, because that's what I would have done in college. Anybody else? Hallelujah, amen, right? So that's where mom meals came from. And so this account, through all those things, kind of found us through us integrating with the campuses in that way. And so we have run a contest this last week with the Hampton-Sydney fraternity guys, right? And with all of that going on, right, all of that happening, and then act weird, so I'm going to let it do its thing. Okay. So with that happening this week, we had me out sick. We had a couple little faux pas here and there. We've had some challenges with equipment this week. So, like I said, Tammy plans, right? And God laughs, universe laughs. Anybody else understand this? Like, you're like, okay, I'm surrendering. I'm standing in faith. Anybody else do that this week from last week's sermon? Anybody else surrender and stand in faith, saying, you know what? No matter what gets thrown at me, it's going to be okay. We know that everything that is not happening to us, it's happening through us. That was last week's complete sermon, right? With surrender to, like, knowing that even the things that you think are working against you are working for you. Because that's how God, the universe, source, whatever your words are, works, right? It's more about understanding that there's a universal plan, and we can't control what comes at us. We can only control the way in which we react to what comes at us. So this week, number one, I got like Monday we started off, and there was just some kind of like weird energy Monday. I don't know what it was, but like just the things that needed to get done just did not happen the way I wanted them to. Everything got done exactly like it was supposed to. Don't get me wrong. I understand that now, but in the moment, right? I was like, all right, a little frustration, but it all happens like it's supposed to happen. It will be fine. Like, everything's going to be fine. Then we had a plan to do cheesecakes this week, and then we had truck prep to do this week. And as you know, we have 2 stoves, so we have 2 ovens. Well, on Friday, when we had a lot of big pushing out of baking and things to do, we had an oven element. It actually went bad on Wednesday when I was not here. And then Thursday and Friday, we had to deal with like, oh, it's cooking uneven, trying to find the element, all of that. So we were doing like a double run of cheesecakes. We had like one order that came in for treats to go out on Friday that was over $600, and like cookies and things that we had to like bake off, because we make everything fresh to order. We don't hold anything cooked. And so we're here late on Friday trying to get the oven fixed and then get things baked off and then cheesecakes decorated and all the things. So we went out Friday and we did our thing out at Sandy River. We were super busy. The kids showed up. I mean, we were double busy than we would have been, because we had this contest going with Hampton-Sydney Beers. We did this whole weekend thing, like whatever fraternity eats with us the most this weekend, they get a free Super Bowl party, which we're working on getting them their prizes today. So we were super busy with that. I mean, these kids showed up and showed out, and we want to thank them very much. That's a weekend update. But in the midst of all of that, we had a plan to like really like kick ass and take names this week. I had a strategy for the ovens. I had a strategy for the truck. I had a strategy for all of these things, right? The oven breaks down. We have people out sick that we didn't anticipate happening. We had so Saturday, the plan is that we come in Saturday morning, we bring the truck from where we were Friday night, because we had a plug down there. There's no sense in pulling the truck out at like 10 o'clock at night. We'll go get it in the morning, bring it back here. We'll prep up the food inside, get it cleaned up, because going back down the 3 roads last night. And so there's a few little faux pas on the pack out, because we were coming from a place we hadn't come from before. So some of the precautions we take to keep things sealed so they don't go open, like we have to seal the refrigerators with, like, we duct tape the refrigerators closed. We're going to get latches now, because one piece of tape doesn't work when you're going on bouncy terrain. We were out in a rural area at a distillery, and so we had to it was gravel, and we had to move the truck, and there was some bouncing of the trailer. So when the trailer got back here yesterday to get ready for tomorrow night, it was a disaster. Like our entire grease unit on our fryers sloshed, and the lids didn't hold it because of the jostling. And so we had oil everywhere. So everything had to get taken off. All the refrigerators had spilled open. So all that stuff had to get cleaned out and thrown. We had lost a bunch of stuff. It was a day yesterday, to be sure. And then when we were not expecting rain when it came, and we were trying to get the truck clean to be able to take it back out, we go into the other unit, and our sandwich refrigeration unit is not working. It's on, but it's not cooling. It's not working. What's going on? So we throw everything out of that away. We get all that cleaned out. It wasn't messy. It was just not cooling. It was like in a refrigeration, but it wasn't where it should have been, right? And we knew something was wrong. Something was wrong. So we get the truck cleaned up. It's beautiful and fixed again. Just took a little elbow grease, right? And my dad came down because thank God I have the trades in my family, because that's what makes me very blessed. And just telling y'all everything. This updates in Sunday sermon, right? But it's about showing you that I couldn't control any of those things. And we found out that our condenser fan has to be replaced. So then I have to go online and find out when I can get it. So we have to leave that unplugged. So the Sugar Magnolia is out of commission until the part comes in and we get it reattached. I found the part. Dad pulled it off. He found out what was wrong. The condenser's fine. He says, don't let it freeze up. We'll unplug it. The fan will come in, because he put like a little, he could override it. When the fan worked, the condenser worked fine. So easy that. But, 1,000,001 little small, I talk about 1,000,000 micro moves to change your life, right? It's not about getting up one day and just changing everything. It is about the 1,000,000 little micro moves you make over time. And my sister she was sitting in here just now, but for example, she, has been doing 1,000,000 micro moves over the last year. Over the last year and a half, my sister has made 1,000,000. She didn't get up one day and say, okay, everything in my life is different. One day she woke up and says, you know what? I'm going to choose to be happy today. And I'm going to do it for today. I'm going to face it till I make it. And then the next day she did this, right? And so these things that are annoying to us and that push us over the edge come at us sometimes in little 1,000,000 micro moves. And this is a chance for us to really exercise that muscle, right? That mind muscle of being able to say, if I don't mind, it doesn't matter, right? I am stronger than this. This is not meant to defeat me. Let me reframe this. Let me take a deep breath. We were laughing because talking about we were sitting here the other day and we're talking about all these different things that had happened. And my sister's like, reframing it, right? She's like, okay, how do we reframe that? Let's make that positive. She's like, I can put a positive spin on anything. And, we were calling awful things out. And Selena was like, you broke your arm. And I was like, she's like, you learned to use the other one. She's like, you have to, people can wash your hair for you. So she was given the positive spin on it, the way to reframe it and to look at it. And it was very impactful because I was having a week where I'm like, okay, I'm going to throw out all of the shit that I'm really over here, panicking about. And I need you to reframe it for me. And we made it kind of a fun game. So what I'm going to say is this. All of the themes of our talks over the last couple of weeks, right? We talk about faith over fear and 1,000,000 micro moves and how the big theme for the last month of January was about community, right? And it's funny that community came up because Melissa Jones, I'm going to use you for an example for a second. I'm going to use Melissa Jones for example. Melissa's mom comes in sometimes. And Melissa, your mom doesn't mind if I tell the story, I'm sure. She has had a lot of health stuff happening and things like that. And she came in one day and she was just kind of having a really, really bad day. And Amy is the best at it. She has been my new, she is honestly, I think the universe put her back in the shop and out of this back here with me is because she has been my court. She absorbs all that and then allows me to kind of recharge my battery a little bit because she's very empathetic and she can very much sense when and she can be empathetic without soaking in soaking in it. She can give a hug and give energy without that energy affecting her, which I think is amazing, right? And so she was, and then giving her this love. And your mom came back in like about a month later, like last couple weeks ago. And Amy was like, hey, how are you doing? You look so much better. She was a whole vibe too. She looked really good in her little outfit. And so, but your mom was saying how she needed the hug on that day and just having the place to be. And then Janine Spies, who posted in the group, she's kind of been MIA for a little bit. She's kind of been in she's had some like family health situations going on, some caregiving roles, overworking, overtime, just overwhelmed and not feeling like she could dedicate any time to adult friendships. And I told her, I was like, this is what the community, what the Grateful Fed family, what we're about is about understanding that life is crazy. But you have a community of people here who understand that. If you just need to pop in for a hug, if you just need to pop in and say, I need some help. This week, what did I say I was going to do? I was like, Rose and Thorn. Did not get a chance to do that last week. None of that got done. I wanted to be able to do that for you all so we could post that and find our community. I need to do that. I'm asking anybody want to volunteer to take that and like make that like a stock post that we post at like 4:20 every day. Like, hey, it's about halfway through the day. What's the best thing that's happened to you? And what's the worst thing that's happened to you? How can we help you? I love that. And so, and we want to do that for all of you, right? We want to be able to be a community, but what we talk about as community is not just us doing it, because y'all don't understand that when y'all come in here, we get as much good energy and good vibes from you all as you do from us. And I want to say this. I saw Heather Johns pop in here a minute ago, and she's up here from Sylvania, Ohio. And talking about Katie Shaw, who will drive down all the time she drive up once, but it feels like a lot when you drive from Florida. Like Katie Shaw driving from Florida. Heather Johns pops in here, and I think the universe did it for everybody involved. Heather had come up to see us during Harvest Fest. She was here for Peace, Love, and Feast Fest. She came back for Harvest Fest. And she when she comes in the shop, I don't think she understands how she charges this place. She talks about, oh, I'm back and it feels so good and the energy is right. It feels like a hug. And people say that. Even like we call it Reds people, the store guys, like the blue collar guys, all the men that come, the growers, all of that. Like we'll see people pull up in the parking lot and we're like, is that our people? Is that Reds people? We're trying to figure out whose people it is. But even Reds people, when they walk in, say, man, it smells good in here. It feels good in here. It's exciting to be here, that kind of thing. So I really, truly believe that community is not just one person or one place. It's about two or more of us gather as community. And I feel like Heather Johns doesn't understand, even when she comes in, she charges this place with her energy. She always comes like Santa Claus with bringing gifts. She's got here's some pins and here's some crystals, and everybody's excited. It's like grandma's coming from out of town, oh, we're getting stuff today. Heather's coming and but had she not, she says it recharges her battery to be here, right? And so it's an exchange of energy. And that's what community is for us in this community, and why I think this community works so well is because we love you so much, Heather. And, I feel like had the things that transpired when you got home, had you not been here before that happened, I don't know that your state of mind would have gotten you through this as steadfast as you have gotten. Now, I know that it feels like you have just been rolling down the hill in a dryer, but the resilience and the strength you have shown through all of this, and the grace in which you have given yourself. I see the post that you do, and I just hope and I believe that the time, and I hope that you believe that the energy we exchanged made a difference. Is all I'm saying, and I appreciate that. And Elizabeth Clark, she comes into the shop and she doesn't understand that even her energy is beneficial. We as a community, right? So it is not just, it's an exchange. It's an equal exchange. So this week, as I have, had to remind myself that this too shall pass, that there is a lesson in, there's a lesson in this. There's got to be a blessing in this lesson. What is the blessing in this lesson? And I'm like, you know what? Oh, that's exciting, y'all. Can y'all send some hearts, some thumbs up? Just pound that button. Heather has been since September or October. I don't think she slept in her bed since then. She got home from Harvest Fest and her mother had a very huge medical emergency, and she has been at her side in a different state in Michigan and then in Ohio, in a different place in Ohio since then. And that's a big deal to get to sleep in your own bed for several months. And her plan was to be in sunny Key West, Florida right now, living up the sunshine. We should be seeing pictures of Heather out on a boat. And it's interesting. You could probably look at your memories, Heather, from this time last year, and I can saw messages where you said how many times you took your mom out on that boat. You was like, I don't know how many more times I have, and I want you to know that the blessing in that is that you had those 2 winters, if not more, where you and your mom got a lot of one-on-one quality time out doing the things that she loved together. You got all of those memories, and I love that. And she's going to work back. I know she's going to get back on that boat one day. I just know it. But when talking about things like that, right? It's a fan on a sandwich unit that cost me less than $120, shipped quickly. It's going to be fixed this week. As a community, I can say, hey, and I'm not saying that you can say like, but we're comparing, right? I'm like, hey, look, it could be, that's just the thing. Heather's dealing with her mom and this computer, y'all. If you can still hear me, I'm here just buffing. You know what I mean? In the grand scheme of things, it could be so much worse. And not that I say that like there's like levels of but when you're reframing and you're putting it in a perspective and you're helping yourself to get yourself the million micro move, right? Like it is just a sandwich unit. If I have to spend, if it's okay. It's okay, right? It's all going to be okay. It's about stopping and noticing. And that's how the micro moves work. And it's utilizing those. And like I said, it comes at you in little million micro moves. It's the little annoyances, like maybe you're late to work, like because there's traffic in front of you. Then when you get to work, so it doesn't feel like it builds, right? It builds all day long, and then it kind of snowballs into like the feeling of suck and weight on your shoulders. And so this week, as those things started happening, when I noticed each of those things starting to creep in and me not feeling like I was in flow, I was able to stop in that moment and do my did that grounding, putting my energy bubble on, the thing we did last week. So I always say the universe does this to me, and I want to know if it does it to you. So we've had these conversations, and this week has been kind of like, it feels like almost like a school project, right? You talk about it, you learn about it, you study about it, and then you have a test on it. I feel like, and it's a practical use, like a lab. I feel like this week for me has been a lab, right? It's been like lab. It's like been hands-on and what you learned the last couple of months. So if anybody else is feeling like that, that's how adults learn. And so I hope that you are taking notes and learning your lessons so that it does not keep happening, that you can actually like notice it and stop it before it gets too much, right? I play in the universe last, exactly. Elmilsa Jones says sometimes when it rains, it pours, right? And that's what I was talking about. This was coming in a little bit last week, and I think it's more applicable this week. It's this, right? There is, an object in motion stays in motion, right? We all know that. I think that Amy, who's that? Is that Einstein or whoever says that? Newton or whoever? I don't know. I don't know who says things. I know that they've been said. Right? An object in motion tends to stay in motion, right? So there's this road in San Francisco, and we've all seen pictures of it. It's like a really tall hill, and it curves down. It's like curves, right? Curves. Now, if you're at the top of the hill and a car starts rolling down that hill, at the top of the hill, you can stand in front of that car and you can stop it from rolling. There's not a lot of momentum behind it. You can kind of like, no, put the brakes on, stop. But if you wait till you're halfway down the hill or at the bottom of the hill, the amount of momentum that thing has rolling down the hill is going to run you over. So the million micro moves and the noticing of is the ability to get out in front of this no good, awfully, terribly bad day, trying to stop the raindrops, right? When it rains, it pours, say, hey, I felt a raindrop. Right? Let me take a minute. Let me notice it. Let me stop this raindrop. Let me stop this momentum. Who said an object in motion stays in motion?
It's Isaac Newton.
Okay, that's what I said. That's what I said. I said Einstein, Newton, somebody, one of the smart people in the world. I was pretty sure.
It's one of the
It's one of the yeah. So, yes, E equals MC squared.
No, that's not it. That's the speed of light. No.
That's Newton too, though.
No, that was not.
Who did that one? Apparently, I did not get out of head of the thing of Tammy not knowing who does science. That's why I do food, apparently. But anyway, it's about an object in motion staying in motion and being able to stop it before it gets too much momentum and rolling you over. And as this week kind of went through, I was like, all right, I don't feel good, but I'm allowed to take a day off. They've got it. And they handled Wednesday. I didn't call and yell. Everything went well, right? I thought Wednesday I didn't give anybody grief, right? Wednesday, I was good when I was off. I was good Wednesday. I didn't let it. I was like, you know what? I'm allowed. I don't feel good. I felt so bad. I was like, I can't even be like worried about stuff. I'm just gonna. The momentum is I'm gonna take a break and stop before this runs me over. And then as the week went on and we were like this and that, I feel like I got a little further down the hill before I could stop it. But the key is this, right? The key is giving yourself grace when you don't. Sometimes you get run over and you learn a lesson, you pop back up and you try it again, give it the old college try again. But what I want you to remember today, right, is that lean into your own knowing, like your own intuition. When you start feeling, we all know, we start feeling that, like, I'm going to be an asshole. Anybody can I get a hallelujah, amen? If you know when things are just starting to kind of spiral on you, taking that time, right, leaning into your intuition and noticing of yourself, noticing when your anxiety is happening, noticing when you're getting out of flow, taking that time to stop, take those breaths, ground yourself, call in your spiritual team to help you kind of get through it, right? Number one, lean into that. Number two, know that you can lean into community. We talk about that here. I was just giving examples, Amy with Melissa Jones's mom coming in and us knowing that she needed a hug that day. And there are plenty of times that like Candy Hayes walks in here and comes around and hugs everybody and recharges our batteries or whatever, right? Lean into the people around you who are there to help and be a part of your community. Allow them to be your community. Norma Jean, I know that Norma Jean has not been feeling well and she goes and she introverts, right? She introverts versus coming and say, hey, I'm struggling, whether it be emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever it may be, you have friends here, right? Lean into the community. She's not on Facebook, and I believe that if she got on just our group in Facebook, it'd be very helpful for her. So if any of y'all need to like send Norma Jean a message, she's over on YouTube, but we need to like, because we have a big community on Facebook, and I'm trying to figure out how do we bring that community in a way to each and every one of you in a way that everybody gets that, right? I want to be better at pattern interrupting. Exactly, pattern interrupting. Leslie's been listening for a while, right? That is the second response in pattern interrupting this stuff. When I make it happen, it works. Exactly. When you stop yourself immediately, right? Maybe you're someone like for me, right? There's a lot more month than there is money sometimes. And I start getting in this panic and this fanatic little panic thing, right? So one of the things that I'm learning is like, hey, all of my needs are met. I do my affirmations. I do this thing, right? If maybe I'm arguing with somebody, I'm like, you know what? Right now we can't communicate with one another. We're going to give each other some time. Let's figure out a way to come back together and write letters or whatever. But leaning into, like Elizabeth, she's leaning in not just to her intuition. She's leaning into the things she's learned. Get into your books. Get into whatever you need to do to be able to work for your highest and best and to get yourself back in flow state. Okay. Now, I talked about how this is Sunday sermon, and we had a few other things like high updates and all of that. So like I said, the Sugar Magnolia is parked in here for a little bit. I'm going to announce the weekly schedule for Grateful Fed and a menu for everything. We're going to do some market kitchen stuff this week. So it's going to be a lot of soups, salads, sandwiches, things like that. And then Friday night, we have a big fundraiser and a big first time you can come in and sit down and eat dinner. We're taking over the tap room at the Three Roads Brewing, and we are doing a prime rib surf and turf dinner, like after Valentine's Day dinner. $5 of each plate's going to go to Madeline's house. It's a shelter for abused women and children. So if you could come out and support, we would love to have you. All the pre-order stuff will be listed here. That's interesting. That just jumped up out, and I don't know, it jumped out, like flipped over perfect. Yeah, Amanda, were you on here? I was looking for somebody to do like a daily post. I think she's on here. Whoever wants to volunteer, I'll take a volunteer to do like a daily post that's scheduled out, that is about the thorn and the rose, for each day. There you go. My communication skills have grown. So exactly, lean into those, right? For me, it is the ability to kind of step away from a situation. I tell my sister and my dad and my husband, like, y'all, I vent. Oh, thank you so much, Amanda. I appreciate that so much. I yell at them and like say all the things like out loud that I need to say. And I don't mean that to the people that I'm like bitching about. I just need to vent it out and say it out loud. And I feel safe to do that with my family. And we're all soul family, but if you have a good, strong family unit at home, lean into them. Lean into your friends. I'm not just saying this group of friends. Lean into your community. Lean into your friend group. Lean into your therapy. Lean into whatever you need to lean into. But recognize when things are spiraling or starting to gain momentum. And if you stop them and you nip them in the bud, you're going to find, like Elizabeth said, pattern interrupting. It works when it happens. And if you can make that 28 days makes it a habit, right? You can be effective. You can like try to like consciously think about it and it's like, hey, I am noticing right now that I am having some mental health struggles. What Get in your journal, lean into your journaling. What I do is when I'm Red said, let's work it through. The other day I was like, I am falling down. I am struggling. I'm tired. I'm this, I'm that. And Red said to me, he's like, let's talk it out. Let's make a list of the things that you could, what can I take off your plate? And I was like, the thing is that what I'm trying to get at, and it helped me to get some clarity, I was like, it's not things that somebody can help with. It are things like, what is my true authentic voice? What is this? What is that? Like these bigger, like more soul searching kind of things. And when I really talked it out loud with somebody else, he was like, in the grand scheme of things, what does that any of that matter? Just be you, just do you. Like you're worried about all of these things that don't matter. Just be you. And even though I thought that wasn't going to be any help, his advice was, I leaned in. I was like, you know what? Let's talk about it. Okay. And I always feel like you're not going to give me like I get like aggravated about it because I feel like I'm being a little crazy about my anxiety. And I'm like, I shut down. I'm like, I don't want to have this conversation because you're going to tell me how that doesn't make sense and I'm blowing it out of proportion. And I start assuming, right, the rules of the four agreements, right? Not living by the four agreements that I tried to. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I'm assuming that you're going to say these things. That's the negative self-talk I've got going. Let me pattern interrupt that and let's have a conversation. And by the end of it, by leaning into my partner, he really made me feel a lot better about it and a lot less stressed out. So, um, let's 4 or 5. Okay. These are all popped out, but it doesn't seem like these are all it. The two cards that I have that popped out that are our cards today are Rainbow Obsidian, and it says heal your heart for Rainbow Obsidian. Rainbow Obsidian says heal your heart. Um, Here's the card. It says you are strong and resilient, and you are capable of working through the deepest of human emotions. The heart is both the most fragile and most powerful element of our physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Trust that no matter how exposed or pains you may feel, you have the power to recover and heal. From the loss of a loved one, a relationship, a beloved pet, or even a job, we've all experienced grief. Whether the event happened recently or long ago, a variety of emotions may surface at any given time as part of the grieving process. Allow your emotions to come up so you can acknowledge and then release them in order to fill that space with love, light, and hope. Because when have you experienced a loss of any kind? Is your core questions for your journal. Did you allow yourself time to and space to grieve? What would aid your grieving process? So this is about healing your heart. This one I feel like is for somebody who's really grieving right now and really not healing their heart to get through that. And here is your affirmation: to feel is to heal. Today, give yourself permission to feel whatever emotions come up. Let them go and cry if you need to so you can create space to heal. If you're holding that grief in, you need to release it, allow it to come through tears, whatever it needs to be. Allow yourself to feel the pain. You have to feel it to heal it. I feel like that's just a great thing. You have to feel it to heal it. It may not feel great, but you can, if you feel it, it's like kind of the bull and the cow. You can continue to run and live in the pain, or you can run right into the pain, feel it hard, have your Lieutenant Dan moment, and get on the other side of it. And this is what the card's encouraging you today: is to heal through it, is to have your Lieutenant Dan moment, to feel it, to get through it, and to keep moving. So that is for someone specifically, I feel like. So whoever that is for, I want you to take that, do with what you want. Heather posted something here. What you posted the other day about helping people by just doing instead of saying, I'm here if you need me. Just do. If you see a need in somebody, try and fill it, because from experience in the moment that people have asked me what I need, I truly don't know. Yeah. So like things like, that's what I say too. Like I will just say, hey, like I know that, for example, we have a lady in our community. She's actually my son's ex-mother-in-law. And she's going through cancer treatment. She started radiation this past week. And I was like, I want to make sure you get some dinner during your radiation treatment. She's like, well, it's hard to do it on Wednesdays because I got to be there by like 4:00. So before I got to be in Richmond, I'm going to, all these things. I can't do it. I'm like, well, at least once a week, I want to be able to like make sure she's got some things she needs. So this week we're going to put together a little box and I'm going to take it to her. Versus waiting for her to tell me how and what, I'm going to say, here's what I can do. Here's the thing that I can do to help. Here's something we can do for you to make it easier for you. So yes, if you see somebody struggling out there, ask them, because like Melissa said, she isolates when I'm struggling. So what I'm going to say is this, right, Melissa? If you're working through it and that's your mechanism, then that works for you, right? But if that's not working for you and you stay in your despair a little bit longer, then find the person or the thing the community that you can kind of lean into, and let us be there for you. Like, don't not ask for help if you need it, because we want to help you. The second card we pulled was Lapis Lazuli. It says Lazuli, Lapis Lazuli, make a decision. And I'm going to do that today, make some decisions today about like what we're doing this week because of the truck. This is decisions. We spend so much time trying to avoid them. There's a time to be thoughtful and contemplative, and then there's a time to make a choice. Avoid the trappings of staying in limbo and commit to the decisions you make. Your inner wisdom will guide you, but it's up to you to see your choice through. Let go of your need to have for a backup plan or an escape route, and trust that you have made the right decision for you. Invest yourself fully in your choices. You can always change your mind, but you have to make up your mind first. This card is definitely written to me. Is this, right? Make a decision, stick with it, and know that your decision is right. Stop second guessing yourself. And you can't make the wrong decision if you're not even making a decision, right? So make a decision. It says core questions. When do you struggle to make a decision? And that's a lot about like when we start leaning into our community, leaning into our own intuition, leaning into things, we tend to doubt our decision making, and we tend to make choices a little bit easier because we have a little more clarity, I think. So when do you struggle to make decisions? When are you afraid to commit to decisions? What can you do right now to make good choices? And so those are great questions that I'm going to put in my journal this week for sure. This is one for me for 100%. And your crystal affirmation is, I am committed and decisive. Today, make a decision, no matter how big or small, and commit to it 100%. So that is today's message, y'all, on this Super Bowl Sunday. I am sorry that I have not seen y'all more this week, but I have had a lot of things happening, and I'm leaning into knowing that all happens in divine time and that everything happened this week exactly as it's supposed to. There's some lessons to be learned for everybody, I'm sure, especially for me this week. I'm going to do a little autopsy of the week tonight. After the Super Bowl, I'm going to go in here and finish up all this work I have to do and help my sister because she's in there working her ass off. So, yeah, a lot of y'all isolate. I'm going to say, I know, because y'all have been isolating. That's why I'm here today to say lean into community. I love that. See, I tend to isolate too. It's hard to reach out sometimes, but I have learned that it's much easier to do it within this group of people. And I'm going to say this. A lot of you all, right, have this, it's ego, it's personality body that makes you think that people are judging you because you're judging yourselves. You got so much negative self-talk about why your problems are. You're like, I put this on myself. I don't say a lot of things. I'm like, everybody's gonna say, I told you so. You take on too much. I never even like to say that I'm tired, because people always say, how do you do it all? And I'm like, because I'm tired. But I don't want to say that, because my inner monologue says, you did it to yourself. You do this. You choose to do this. So, and I know that, right? I know that, because I feel like people are like, well, I told you not to go do that, or I told you so. And we get so caught up in like not wanting to hear that bullshit that we don't bring it out. That's the point I'm taking you, because we're judging ourselves. Because your ego, that's personality body. That is what I talk about. That is what personality body is. That little voice in your head that tells you all the things that you think everybody's thinking about you. What I did to Red this week, right, was like, I'm not going to tell him shit, because he's like, well, if you hadn't done this, so you hadn't done that, you hadn't done this, you wouldn't have been here. I don't want to hear it. So I'm like, no, I'm fine. He's like, no, let's talk through it, baby. And I was like, all right, you know what I'm thinking? He's like, makes sense. So how do we keep this? How do we do this way? How do you do this? And I'm like, thank you. I had a preconceived notion. That was my negative self-talk. That is what we say. We project. We're projections, right? So stop, right? 100%. That's what I'm saying. Like, we all feel like we're the only ones. That's why you lean into community. That's why I come here and say all the hard stuff, all the embarrassing stuff, all of the I cry in the bathroom because I feel less than. Everybody does. Y'all, that makes me like, I don't feel so by myself. Like, oh, I'm not the only one that's like spirals and goes nutso, right? I'm the only one that does that, right? So on that note, we're going to end this live with y'all going home this afternoon, right? And saying, I am allowed to have community. People do not. I'm my own worst critic, right? And no longer do that. Say nice things to yourself. And that's why we don't make decisions, right? That's why the decision card came up. We don't make decisions because we're afraid that we've made the wrong decision, because we get in situations like I'm in this week. Did I make the wrong decision? Is this my fault? And that's the thing I told Ren. I was like, every time I make a decision with work and it doesn't make money or doesn't do the thing it's supposed to do, I get this little chip like I'm the worst owner of a business that ever walked on the planet. And Red's like, you made a decision, you tried it, it didn't work, you learned from it. Can you make it better next time? And that's how he says, but fail forward, right? Fail forward. And I'm like, yeah, but I'd like to win forward a couple of times. I don't want to keep failing forward. He's like, yeah, but it's just a step forward. You're shooting your shot. And I say, I'm like, yeah, I would tell another business owner that same thing. Like, hey, you shot your shot. And Red even helped me. He hears my words. He says, what would you tell somebody that you're talking to and giving advice to that's in your position? If you were talking to you, what would you say? I was like, I'd say all the things you're saying. So tell that to yourself. So even somebody who comes here and like talks about it or whatever, it's a practice. I got to lean into my intuition. I got to lean into my tools, lean into my team, all of that. So that's today, y'all. That's what we have to talk about today. And I'm a little early today, but I got a lot of stuff to do, and I'm going to get off of here. I want to thank y'all for tuning in. We have a lot of fun stuff on tap this week. Munchie of the Month boxes are going to go. I'm going to show y'all. We've got the most cutest little cutout cookies. We did 3 different types of cookies. So it's a heart with like different colors inside of it. We have chocolate bonbons. It's a nice, beautiful Valentine's Day box. It's going out this week. We had to put all the things together. We are very excited for this weekend. We have a lot of fun stuff coming up. We're going to stop and get our oh yes, I forgot about this. Today on the Super Bowl, there is one of the puppies on the Super Bowl is Flea Flicker. He is from the Southside SPCA. It's available all month, Amanda. And he'll be on the Puppy Bowl. So we're going to cheer for him today to win the Puppy Bowl. And yes, Munchie of the Month boxes are still available, so go ahead and get you one. But again, I want to thank you all for watching. And as we end every live, we're going to end it with a little peace, a little love, and a little feast, y'all. And as always, stay elevated. Until next time, I'll see you.